Shalom Akim, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call hello, Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Bashem, Dash. Send double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Send much peace, love, and salutations to Yakim out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah, and sincerity and truth. This is Brother Ariala with another GMS World War III Algo. And with no further ado, we're going to get into this whole bridge collapse thing and just look over it. Very interesting and precarious. A lot of events have been popping off since the Passover, as usual. I hope you brothers and sisters are having a beautiful feast of unleavened bread. Lunar eclipses are passing. We got a solar eclipse coming up. Signs in the skies and the times, and terrorist attacks over in Moscow, and all types of great things are happening through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah. This is just one more, but this one I want to highlight. Look at it, and we'll see what happens, man. Most High's got things stirred up.
Good morning. And now that the sun is up, we just want to show you what we are seeing in the Patapsco here, in my angle here. And I want to start, if you can go into the ship there, and you can see just that massive ship in the middle of the water. And you can see the remnants of the bridge. And again, this is from the Baltimore County viewpoint. And the first thing I noticed when the sun started to go up is just over to the side of that, you can see the ramp where that was leading to the bridge, and you can see there's no more bridge there. It's just heartbreaking. You can see just where it ends. You can see what's left of the Key Bridge. An absolutely incredible view. We've talked about the challenges, diesel fuel in the water, silt, the tide, the cold temperatures. At least we've got daylight now. I want to bring in a neighbor here in this community, Jeremy, and you live fairly close by. Tell me, what did you see and hear, again, around 1:30 this morning? Were you sleeping?
I was eating bonbons. Yeah, so as you can see, man, this massive bridge structure over in Baltimore was hit by a large container ship, causing it to collapse while people were on it late, or well, I guess in the early morning. But when we start to look at this and start to think about it, there's a lot of things that may suggest that something else was going on. It wasn't just a innocent incident of the ship malfunctioning, and that, maybe there's something else. So, brother sent this. Basically, it says a cargo ship slammed into Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge on Tuesday, and somebody in the chat made note of this American anthem guy bridge is collapsing. There's all types of signs. And this being, I believe, the 47th anniversary of the bridge. That's an 11. It says it was carrying nearly 4,700 containers. That's an 11. Operated by 22 persons. That's an 11. There's a lot of 11s going on. I'm not a numerology guy, but sheesh. You know what I'm saying? It's getting kind of ridiculous. All right. It says it says a cargo ship slammed into Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge on Tuesday, causing the structure to collapse. The shocking incident has raised questions about who owns and manages the ship, as well as where it was headed and what load it was carrying, called the Dolly. Now, apparently, one of the brothers said into the chat that in the Swahili, the word Dolly means the end. More interesting things, right? The vessel that hit the bridge is managed by Synergy Marine Group, a Singapore-based ship manager with a worldwide presence of over 660 vessels under management. The group said that the ship was operated by charter vessel company Synergy Group and chartered by Danish shipping behemoth Maersk when it struck the Francis Scott Key Bridge, all right? So massive ship hits this thing and causes it to collapse, and we never know what's going on. We just know that the Most High is stirring things up. We know that certain things are being set up in order to forward certain agendas. This has major implications on logistics. This has major implications on that whole region, as far as the DMV, just because there's no police over in that bitch. It's just like, you know, they don't even really have police over there. So managing all the chaos in that region, the redirecting traffic, which is already cumbersome, can lead to a lot more false flags that can happen just because they can say, oh, well, we don't have the right type of security and surveillance to properly protect everyone. So we're going to see. Now, right here in Proverbs 4:16, it says, for they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence, man. So we got to watch out, those who are the watchmen, the men of the Lord, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Early this morning, brothers was on it. We all sending chats and messages and scriptures, bro. I was in the Dallas chat, so a lot of these scriptures came from there. So we see there's something set up. We know there's something definitely going on with this, and I'm gonna play a video here, and it's gonna ask a few questions, because when you want to think about airplanes, when you want to think about shipping, these arenas specifically, and even trains, but these two, boats, ports, airports, highly surveilled. You can't just go off course, even for a couple degrees off course. We'll send some warnings. And for the fact that this ship was able to go off course like this, to the point to where it smacked a bridge and knocked it down. Hmm. Interesting, right? Psalm 64:5 says, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. This is something we was mentioning, me and Wakario Kwam, on the World War III Algo that we did a couple of days ago. Man, they really seek deep, to create different lanes of propaganda, to misdirect people, to set people up. All right. And also really to push forward their NWO agenda, to push forward their MOTB agenda. And we can see that all the pieces are coming together one by one, and they're moving way more quickly now. All right, so I'm gonna play this right here. This is I used to use his videos a lot more, but he kind of fell off in my book. But he did an update on this, bridge collapsing and its post wave trading. And so I'm gonna play a little bit of this clip. And just listening to his voice made me think about the old algorithms where I would use the Super Metroid beat in the background. So those of y'all that know about that, this is gonna be a little nostalgic to hear this guy's voice. But with no further ado, let's play this.
The report said that the ship lost propulsion as it was leaving port. ABC News reported. All right. This is a CISA report. CISA. The Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. Have you ever heard of CISA? Maybe today's your first day hearing of this agency. The crew notified officials that they had lost control and warned of a possible collision, the report said, per ABC News. Structural engineer Ian Firth told the BBC that the heavy ship would have struck the bridge support backed by many thousands of metric tons. Many thousands of metric tons. This is also important because it was also reported that this boat was leaving the port under the assumption that it had already dropped this load off and is now empty and was leaving. Are you following here?
So already the stories are kind of weird. So it's leaving the port. It's supposed to have dropped off all this shit, but why is it packed full of stuff? Secondly, if it's leaving the port and shortly after reports, hey, we've lost our navigational systems, you would immediately have support boats coming to grab this thing up, especially if it's on a trajectory towards a bridge. More mischief, more mischief. And shalom to all you out here. I'm putting scriptures to water. I see the apostle put Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. Okay. It says, when the morning is light, they practice it. Right? When the morning is light, they practice it because it's in the power of their hands. Very, very, very interesting. Already it is. It's like, Brother GMS History of Yaquab Shalom. I put Psalms 36:4 in the NLT. They lie awake at night, hatching sinful plots. Their actions are never good. They make no attempt to turn from evil. You best believe. Yeah, I heard that the captain was a Ukrainian, if you believe it or not. Very, very interesting stuff. Let's keep playing this. It gets better. Might speed it up.
The support is a very relatively flimsy structure when you look at it. It's a kind of trestle structure with individual legs, he told the outlet. So the bridge has collapsed simply as a result of this very large impact force. Barbara Rosie, an engineering professor at the University of Oxford, stated that according to what I could see online, the bridge has received a huge impact force on one of its supporting structures. The impacting force must have been immense, she said. Interesting how they already had the experts and stuff lined up and ready to give statements and testimony. And this is only hours old. The Dolly is owned by Grace Ocean, a Singapore-based firm. The firm confirmed in a statement on Tuesday morning that their vessel had struck one of the bridge's pillars per trade winds. All crew members, including the two pilots, have been accounted for, and there are no reports of any injuries. There has also been no pollution. Read the firm statement. It had 22 crew on board. 22. Numbers mean something. 22. Not 20 people, not 21 people, not 23 people, but 22. The Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore said in a statement. According to Grace Ocean, the vessel was bound for Colombo, Sri Lanka, when the accident took place. Maersk, the ship's charterer, confirmed that vessel company Synergy Group operates the ship. Maersk spokesperson stated that in a statement that the company is horrified by the events and added that no Maersk employees were on board. How convenient. We're closely following the investigations conducted by authorities and Synergy, it added. As of Tuesday morning, authorities warned mariners and drone operators to avoid the waters and nearby airspace. All right? No-fly zone over this area. Baltimore County executives said in an ex-post that the authorities are closely monitoring the outgoing situation at the Key Bridge. Our prayers remain with all those impacted. The Francis Scott Key Bridge opened in March of 1977 as the final link in the Baltimore Beltway, according to the MDTA. All right, the Maryland Department of Transportation Authority. It cost $60.3 million to build and is 10.9 miles long, per the MDTA. All right. Now, those were the early preliminary facts. All right, just fact. Those are facts. I gave you the who, what, where, when. Those are the facts. Right? Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts, right? Now, it's time to take off the mask. Let's peel back the covers a little bit. Now, it has been reported that the captain of this vessel is Ukrainian, and that everyone on board were quote unquote Indians. They were not, African Americans or whatever, because the company claims to be a diversification and inclusion type of a company. But then there's something else. Now, they're saying that this was an accident. All right. I don't know about you, but I'm just going to tell you what it is. A port is a very, very, very secure area with more security than you would ever realize. A port is up there with an airport, especially like major airports. The big hubs. So when you think of a
Yeah, all you brothers that have been in an international airport, you see how secure that shit is. Like they're monitoring everything, and you gotta believe, you gotta understand. There's all the planes that's in the sky, all the vessels that are in the water. These things are being monitored heavily, man. If something goes into the wrong airspace, or if something navigationally is off, that thing is being beamed hard body very quickly, extremely quickly. So for the fact that this thing leaves the port, announces that it's having navigational problems, headed beelining towards a bridge, and nothing is coming to get it off that course. If you have a plane that's going in the wrong airspace and it's not reporting why, even if it's a civilian plane, that thing can get shot out the sky. Immediately, you could have a jet on your head, on that plane's head. I remember seeing a report one time of someone in the sky, and I believe they was texting in a social media group, playing around, talking about, yeah, I'm gonna blow this plane up, bro. There was jets on that air flight within minutes, within minutes. So this right here it's a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher. You know, doesn't make sense. Foreigner crews. You know, very strange. It's a car. Tazai put Psalms 52, 58 and 2. Yea, in heart ye work wickedness, ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. Uh-huh. We see this. We see this. You know? All right. Nahum put Micah 6 and 12. For the rich men thereof are full of violence, and the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth. So we're gonna hear all this mainstream propaganda towards what happened and this and that. But what we got to watch out for is the follow-up regulations, laws, control measures. What's going to happen in this region, in and around the capital? You know what I mean? That whole region, all the way leading up into this next solar eclipse that's getting ready to pop off, which is going to be mentioned in this video as well. Okay. Matter of fact, let me keep playing.
Port, a large port, like Baltimore being like the largest port on the East Coast. When you think of a port this important, think of a big international hub airport. Okay. Most people are oblivious to the amount of government agencies and security that exist in, on, and around major ports and major airports, especially international airports. This is a port. With ports, you have port authority. All right. You got state and local and federal government departments and agencies all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
These are run like clockwork. AI has been used in these locations before NVIDIA even took off the way it did. They have been using technology and AI for a long time. A lot of the stuff there too is done robotically. There are ports, in case you didn't know, where there are hardly any people at all, if any. It's all robots and machines unloading and loading the ships, all of that. It's all mechanicals, mechanical, okay? AI, automation, mechanical. Everything's checked, double checked, rechecked, hyper checked. Do you know that you got U.S. Customs there too? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're coming in with the dogs. They got all kind of dogs. They're not just bringing the drug sniffing hounds out. Nah. They got the cadaver dogs. They got bloodhound dogs. They got dogs trained for plastic explosives. You name it. They got the hounds. They got infrared technology. They got technologies you've never even thought of because you don't work in the industry, so you don't know. They know what is coming into those ports before it even hits the port. Did you know that they even remote control take over the vessels once they get into the port and then to push them out of the port? Did you know that? Little to no human involvement. Nothing is going to go down at these places that they do not want to go down. All right? Think of the foul.
Understand that nothing is going when this thing is so automated, and the systems of merchandise that support the whole world run on something called just in time. So meaning all the shipments, car parts, machinery, everything that keeps everything on the shelf is automated. And if you throw that thing off by a little bit, you can cause absolute chaos. Look at what happened during the time of COVID when they started shutting down certain ports. The supplies got strained so quickly. It threw everything off. It threw the whole economy off instantaneously. Okay? Just like he's saying, there ain't nothing going down where they don't know because it's completely automated. One little piece of it being off jacks up the whole streamline. So it has to be data is the king right now. Data is the king. That's what's keeping everything on clockwork moving all across the world. Not just in America, the whole world economic system is run on the Esau's timer. Okay? That's what we read about in the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter, when all these systems get shut down, when the whore that rideth of the on that beast, when the world sees her burned, and it starts listing all these industries that basically collapse because it's all run through this whore. Okay?
Thousands and thousands of vessels that come in and out of these ports worldwide on a daily basis. Have you ever heard of such an accident? I want you to think about that. Seriously. Have you ever heard of such an accident?
Never.
Those who don't even care or even have known or even thought about ports are getting a primer on ports this morning. But ports are well-oiled machines. Long before the technology we have today, they were still run like a well-oiled machine. Have you ever heard of a quote-unquote accident like this? Ever? Ever? Oh, it lost control. Yeah, there's something wrong here. So let me get this straight. You're saying that your boat really wasn't seaworthy, and then all of a sudden you didn't realize it until you'd already got to port, dropped off your load and was leaving, and now all of a sudden you're in trouble? Then you got the Coast Guard. Let me tell you something. If it even looks like a ship is off course or veering off course,
bro, they if you in the water and you riding around with no life jacket, they'll be on your head. A little small little boat. You over there, you going too fast. They literally are like the police on the water. Anybody that's been on a boat, a party boat or something like that, they be on man, they got that thing locked down. So just this huge vessel just it's turning off, it's turning back on. They restarting it like it's an old 1982 Impala. Like they just go let that thing float towards a bridge. Nah, bruh. They got boats that will come and snatch that thing on up quick. They got boats that will come and attach to it and turn it a different direction fast. It's just things that make you go
they're gonna swoop in immediately. They're gonna swoop in.
See, yeah.
Did you know that? That's like air traffic control. Do you know how many near miss collisions near miss air collisions there are on a daily basis worldwide in the aviation space, and yet how many of those ships, how many of those jets crash into each other? You probably can't even name an incident where two planes collided in the air that you can even remember. And if you can, I bet you can't name enough to fill up a hand because it just doesn't happen. Is anything possible? Of course, but it just doesn't happen. It's too organized. It's too organized. And it's that way for a reason. Then you got Homeland Security. So you don't think they thought about building infrastructure with these ports where they control everything going in and out of the port? They can lock a port down. They can do all these different things. Do you remember during the lockdowns, now to mention it? Do you remember the lockdowns? Do you remember how many vessels were just out floating, couldn't even dock, just out floating? How many of those vessels collided into each other? How many of those vessels had some kind of power failure where they collided into a bridge or collided into each other? How many of you remember seeing the footages of all the vessels, hundreds of vessels offshore, all cramped next to each other? They couldn't even come in. How many of you remember seeing the cramped parking lot of vessels miles and miles off port? You remember that during the 2020 to 2022 era. You remember that when they were talking about supply chains and all that. You remember that. And everything still went off without a hitch. Everything still went off without a hitch.
And I know y'all brothers and sisters seen those, pictures or the videos of all these cargo ships just piled up in the ocean, all up on top of each other, waiting to dock, waiting to get confirmation if they could go this way or that way. There wasn't no rear ends. You know what I mean? There wasn't no, there wasn't no T-bones. There wasn't none of that. Now, you could be in a vehicle that's, let's say, on the road and they found out something about you, maybe you're a felon or something. You need to be stopped. They have the technology now. They can just shut your car off. In any type of the newer vehicles, 2010 earlier vehicles, they just turn it off. But this big ass boat, it was just floating along. It's just, get a couple more off the comment board. GMS Spiritual Army of 144 put Isaiah 47:12. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with thy multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. Pillars of Benjamin. Job 15:35. They conceive mischief and bring forth vanity. They're barely prepared deceit. That's what it seems, right? Something's being prepared. That's what we understand. Ever since the Passover, man, things immediately turned up a notch. And we say, call halal Yahweh Shem Shah for that. Put Psalms 144:8, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is the right hand of falsehood. Games is being played. Games is being played. GMS Spiritual Army also put Isaiah 29:15. Woe to them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? Yeah. But it's all going to be searched out this time, man. It's all going to be searched out. We keep playing this.
You had tugboats and stuff backed up, and not one of them crashed into each other. Some of them were out to sea floating longer than they was even supposed to, where it was starting to become a concern, like, we ain't gonna be able to float like this no more. We're gonna need some fuel, we're gonna need some help, we're gonna need something. We just can't sit out here for weeks and weeks like this. We need the port, we need to drop this stuff off and get back up the road. Did you hear of any accidents? Did you hear one ship saying, oh, I'm not gonna make it? There it is. We just ran out of gas. We're no longer in control of the vessel. We don't have no brakes. We can't stop. Oh no, we're about to crash into the port. Look out below. You didn't hear not one of those reports. But on the day of inflation data coming up, showing that it's about to burn a hole major in your wallet, this thing happens.
Oh yeah. So Jerome Powell gets up there today and basically says, "Look, we can't stop this shit." And I might need to do a whole lesson on inflation. But basically, Jerome Powell was like, "Look, man, we ain't gonna be able to bring inflation down. It's just get. We gonna go ahead and cut these interest rates and let the market cook. Fuck it." Basically, is what he said. Now you see a major supply area get struck, just get smacked. You know, causing more strain. So, hey man, we get into the times of this famine, man. What we read about in Second Ezra, the 15th chapter. We getting into those times, man. We're pulling up on it, just the way like this boat pulled up on that bridge. We going headlong to these prophecies, hop, skipping, and jumping straight up off the page and into everybody's lives. Okay, very interesting.
And it's also not a coinky dink that it happens the day after something else happens. In Baltimore, as a matter of fact. See, nothing happens in a vacuum. Everything happens for a reason. Remember, Baltimore is one of your, projects that you voted for. Okay. And they voted to defund the police.
Yep.
So Baltimore City imploded. The police force collapsed. Only 3 officers at one point were patrolling the major district. And it was just something out of a Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome movie. And now you have this happening. Now they're telling you that all this was just a big misunderstanding, a big accident, just a tragic loss of life, blah, blah, blah. Things like this does not happen, folks. Do you know why this was not an accident? It's because they blew up the bridge. That's right, folks. They blew up the bridge. How many of you have seen the footage of them blowing up the bridge? Oh, that's right. You haven't, because they're not showing that on mainstream news. They're not even talking about it in the news. They don't want you to see it, even know about that on the mainstream news. Mainstream media, oh no, they want to downplay everything. They got to control this narrative. Oh no, 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 no. They can't have that. They can't have that. No, no, no. You can't, we're not gonna talk about those things. We're gonna make sure we take down all the cam footages, Well, ladies and gentlemen, do I have a treat for you? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at the footages. All right, and then you tell me what you think. Do you really think that this was an accident? All right. Well, let's play a little movie. Do you see that? Do you see what I see? Look at that. Seconds before the bridge. Look at this. Explosion, folks. When you're watching the live video feed that they keep showing you in the mainstream media, you don't see no fire. You don't see no explosion like this. So let this play for a little bit. Look at that. That's an explosion.
Now, he's playing this, and they're saying that this was actually an attack on a different bridge in Crimea. Okay, so there's conflicting reports out there. And there's multiple people using different videos saying that the bridge was blown. The bridge was blown up. We don't know. So I thought that was interesting. What we saw on the other live feeds that was put out there, and this is completely different. But we're in an age where media manipulation and propaganda is out there. You know what I'm saying? So you got to watch out.
When you look at the video angle they show you, you don't see any fire. You don't see any explosion. It just looks like was it. That's all you see. You don't see this. Yeah. Now we're going to look at.
So that's why, too, I always warn brothers, got to be careful of what you post and everything like that, because he's going down this rabbit hole as if he's just so sure that this is not footage from somewhere else. Me, I'm like, I don't know. But still, things that make you go, okay?
Get it from another angle. Here we go. That is what I'm talking about. The bridge already started collapsing before the ship even hit it. How do you explain this? Make it make sense. The entire bridge is in the water. Not partial bridge, the entire bridge. Are you seeing what I am showing you? Okay? So, there it is, folks. Live and direct. Make it make sense. I'll wait. I'll give you a minute. Make it make sense. You can't. Debunk this. You can't. You can't. Think about it. Think about it. Folks, something is wrong.
This reminds me of one of the TikTok videos where they pointing.
Like, I've been telling you, there's things just have not been sitting right with me. I said it don't feel right. It don't feel right.
Play this real quick.
Something feels very, very, very wrong.
Brother Monaghan, I believe it was Monaghan, posted this from Twitter.
Why blow up this bridge?
Play this real quick. It's right here.
In the Southern District on Tuesday, there was a plea for officers to work overtime. Minutes later, it went citywide.
Citywide, overtime available on today's date, trolley shift, Southern District. Anyone interested?
Baltimore's Southern Police District is the city's largest district, 61,000 residents. And on Tuesday afternoon, sources tell us at one point there were 3 police officers on patrol. Just seconds after the plea for officers hit the airwaves, so did pleas for help.
If anyone in Sector 2 can come clear, we have a physical child abuse at Moral Park, and there's a 10-year-old at the location with bruises all over his body. Okay, we also have a common assault. We have a missing person, 2640 Huron Street.
10 minutes after that child abuse call was transmitted, it appears there were still no officers en route.
We still holding that physical child abuse?
Yes, sir. Be advised, we are now holding 10 calls. No priority ones. We still have the physical child abuse and the common assault.
And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Imagine
These
if you
niggas
are
these niggas need Spider-Man. They need Batman. Oh shit. They need the Flash. Goddamn. Kids get beat up. There's no police. So you got all this happening. And this is what's gonna come to America, man.
crime victim.
Betsy Smith with the National Police Association calls the city's police staffing dangerously low.
You are endangering the lives of the police officers that are on duty. And what that further does is endanger the lives of the citizens.
There's 522 vacancies.
At a city budget hearing last year, the top brass admitted it struggled with recruitment and is hoping to hire civilians to fill in the gaps.
We're looking at upwards to 120 to 140 positions that we're trying to create in this request to be able to sustain going forward.
The reason that 9 out of every 10 police departments in this country is short-staffed is because we have been dealing with here in the United States this 3.5, almost 4-year vilification and demonization of the American law enforcement officer.
Until perceptions change, Smith predicts recruitment will not improve, and the pleas for officers will grow louder.
16 is going to pick up the physical child abuse until it becomes clear of his larceny tomorrow.
Our sources are telling us tonight that the department is actually postponing training for officers just to keep them on the streets.
Boom. So yeah, man, in the midst of all this, we're seeing that the depolicing of the streets and everything like that is happening. So there's no telling what's going to come down the pipe real soon, right? 2 Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled. The houses shall be troubled, and men shall be afraid. And so even with this bridge collapse, I see brothers are putting that, that was the Crimean bridge explosion. But nonetheless, this bridge did get taken down. And now everybody's going to have to use the tunnels. Traffic's going to be absolutely crazy. There's not going to be really that many people as far as police forces to keep things, in order. This whole region could be in chaos for some months from now. You know what I'm saying? Especially leading up into the elections. Don't let that go haywire. Then we can really see some crazy stuff go down. All right, verse 19 says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses and with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. A lot of these things is getting ready to pop off immensely. All right, we'll put a little bit more of this and then we'll close out.
Now, there's more significance behind blowing up the bridge, because do you know what comes through this particular port? A lot of autos, a lot of major industries. So now, as the collapse of America starts to accelerate this year, which you were warned that was going to happen starting in 2024, by 2025, they can look back on this and say, see, this is the real cause of hyperinflation right here. This is why things are going through the roof and you can't get things and things cost 100% more than they did a month ago. It's because of this. They're going to blame it on the accident. Hyperinflation because of the accident. They had to create a diversion. They had to create something to blame it on so that it looks organic and not on purpose and intentional, which is what it is that they're doing. They're making it on purpose and intentional. Just like they're trying to be slick and hurry up and pass legislation to put vaccines into the vegetables. Yeah. You're not supposed to know about that either. So then we have to ask some really hard questions here. Like, what is all this really for? What are they doing? And why is cocoa more expensive than copper right now? For the first time ever, cocoa is more than $10,000 per ton. Per ton. I remember when it was less than $900. And that was before 9/11. Back around the year 2000. $900. And that was on an epic spike because of a war in the Ivory Coast or whatever. Now it's $10,000 per ton. So there's a 1,000%, more than 1,000% hyperinflated price for cocoa. Cocoa has risen 1,000% in 2 decades. In 20 years, 1,000%. Make it make sense. Okay? You cannot. There's a lot of things happening right now, folks. And one of those is the black horse of famine getting ready to ride, folks. And they're just setting it up for you, setting the stage up.
Like he said, the black horse of famine getting ready to ride, folks. All of these things are being set up. And, we always talk about famine is not just you don't have the food is not there or available. It's that the price of the food is so ridiculously inflated, you can't afford to have it. And it will force a man to steal. It will force a man to kill. I always say this: you want people to fight, take a man's sandwich. Your ability to have access to your food, raiment, will cause people to go crazy. That's what we read about in Second Ezra, the 15th chapter. Okay. So as inflation continues to, hit the market and it runs rampant, which it's going to be a coordinated ramp up, a demolition of the dollar economy, so it can force you into a new economy that they already have prepared, the MOTB economy. These type of incidents that we see happening, all right, shipping lanes, trucking lanes, all right, they're blocking off different straits where vessels pass through. The Houthi rebels are bombing this and forcing cargo to happen to go around the Cape of Africa and delaying this and delaying that in that region. All these different isolated events, well, so-called isolated events, are really coordinated moves to strain out the economy purposely. Okay?
Yeah, for you. So then you got to make something else make sense. Why is the National Guard being deployed during the Great American Eclipse on April the 8th? The National Guard is only supposed to be deployed in emergency situations. But these days, the National Guard is being used for all sorts of things. For example, hundreds of National Guard soldiers are being used to check the bags of those riding the subway system in New York City. That sets a very alarming precedent. And I don't understand why more people aren't upset about this. And now we've learned that the National Guard troops will be deployed during the Great American Eclipse on April the 8th. What in the world do they expect to happen during this eclipse? Or better yet, what are they planning to do? What are they planning to make happen during this eclipse? Without a doubt, either way, it's going to be a historic event. Is it not? But why the National Guard? Why the National Guard? Oklahoma's National Guard is set to be deployed for the upcoming total solar eclipse, when as many as 100,000 people are expected to visit one county. In a statement, the Guard said it would assist emergency management to cope with an unprecedented number of tourists on April the 8th in McCurran County in the southeast of the state.
Now, you have these type of things happen when you have a major football game. Literally, you can have hundreds of thousands of people move into the state, move into a region at one time, and all you do is you call the local, police departments in the surrounding cities. They come, manage traffic, do this and that. But this time they're asking for the National Guard.
Guard will provide first responders as well as units with hazmat response capabilities in case of an incident like an industrial fire. I can understand that they feel the need to be prepared, but bringing in the National Guard is overkill, don't you think? Residents of Oklahoma are being urged to stock up on gas and groceries prior to the eclipse, and they're also being instructed to have multiple forms of communication besides their cell phones. Seriously? They want people to do all this for an eclipse that's only going to last for a few minutes? What is going on? Make it make sense.
Boom.
Okay.
So yeah, man, I just wanted to play that because I felt like he did a good job of just kind of questioning things, besides the whole bridge explosion. When you look at Revelation 12:12, it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth they have but a short time." And so it's looking like a lot of these things are happening quickly. We're starting to see them move in economically. We're starting to see them move socially, with them wanting to track people's social media accounts harder. Even T-Mobile talking about we're going to find people if they say certain things. We're seeing these conflicts and terrorist attacks increase. Like we said, shipping lanes, trucking lanes. all these type of things are being, disrupted worldwide. And so they're moving quickly, so because they know they have but a short time, they're closing in on what they want to do as far as the MOTB. And so, we just got to keep our eyes on this thing. I know all you brothers are, as I see in the chats, man, our brothers are sending all types of information back and forth, scriptures and prophecies and mindsets. So through the Spirit, we're going to just stay on it. And Lord willing, this was edifying for all you Akiam, all you brothers and sisters that was listening, man. The water for the scriptures for those who posted. With that, man, I'm going to say, call hello, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ravah, Kodash. And say, double honors once again to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to you, brothers and sisters, you out there pushing the word of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and sincerity and truth. Shalom.